أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So sorry for the 7 minutes late. So inshallah we will continue from the supreme sign and a very, very, very quick recap of what we were reading. We were studying an interpretation of the verse, the seven heavens and the earth and all that is in them extol and glorify him, and there is nothing but glorifies him with praise. But you understand not their glorifying. Indeed, he is most forbearing, most forgiving. So this verse was mentioning that everything in the heavens and the earth and in between is glorifying the Creator. And now we have a traveler questioning the universe concerning his maker. So that's a journey that he is taking. And as in the past weeks, we were mentioning that this is sort of an ascension, a mi'raj, that the author he himself went through. And that's important for us because as we were referring to the mi'raj of Prophet ﷺ, how is it a relatable experience for us? Okay, Prophet had this journey, like other than saying that our Prophet was awesome, a person, and he was extraordinary, how am I going to benefit from that? So Prophet ﷺ, he himself said that prayer of the believer is his ascension, which means we are expected to have some sort of ascension too. And now the author is having a journey through the universe, questioning the Creator, like questioning the universe regarding their maker, their Creator. And in that, we went through the skies, and then we talked about the earth, atmosphere. Then we talked about the earth, I believe. And now we are at step 4. Yeah. The globe. Yeah, then we talked about the globe of Earth. And now we are going to talk about the seas and rivers, inshallah. And now that we have our long-awaited person there too, inshallah, if she can read us, we'll appreciate. Page number 136. The book is The Rays, and page number is 136. Okay. Very able to find, folks? The Rays, page number 136, and the paragraph that starts with, then the reflector traveler read each page. No, you couldn't find? Oh, yeah. Okay, then you'll ask questions, and since Zareen found it, so it's Zareen. Jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum. Then that reflective traveler read each page of the cosmos, and as he did so, his faith, that key to felicity, strengthened. His gnosis, that key to spiritual progress, increased. His belief in God, the source and foundation of all perfection, developed 1 degree more. His joy and pleasure augmented and aroused his eagerness. And while listening to the perfect and convincing lessons given by the sky, by space, and the earth, he cried out for more. Then he heard the rapturous invocation of God made by the tumult of the seas and the great rivers, and listened to their sad yet pleasant sounds. In numerous ways they were saying to him, "Look at us, read also our signs." Looking, our traveler saw the following. The seas, constantly and vitally surging, merging and pouring forth with an inclination to conquest inherent in their very nature, surrounded the earth, and together with the earth revolved, extremely swiftly in a circle of 25,000 years in a single year. Yet the seas did not disperse, did not overflow or encroach on the land contiguous to them. They moved and stood still and were protected by the command and power of a most powerful and magnificent being. Then looking to the depths of the sea, the traveler saw that apart from the most beautiful, well-adorned, and symmetrical jewels, there were thousands of different kinds of animal, sustained and ordered, brought to life and caused to die, in so disciplined a fashion, their provision coming from mere sand and salt water, that it established irresistibly the existence of a powerful and glorious, a merciful and beauteous being administering and giving life to them. The traveler then looks at the rivers and sees that the benefits inherent in them, the functions they perform, and their continual replenishment are inspired by such wisdom and mercy as indisputably to prove that all rivers, springs, streams, and great waterways flow forth from the treasury of mercy of the compassionate one, the Lord of glory and generosity. They are preserved and dispensed indeed in so extraordinary a fashion that it is said, 4 rivers flow forth from paradise. That is, they transcend by far apparent causes and flow forth instead from the treasury of a non-material paradise, from the superabundance of an unseen and inexhaustible source. For example, the blessed Nile that turns the sandy land of Egypt into a paradise flows from the mountains of the moon in the south without ever being exhausted, as if it were a small sea. If the water that flowed down the river in 6 months were gathered together in the form of a mountain and then frozen, it would be larger than those mountains. But the place in the mountains where the water is lodged and stored is less than 1/6 of their mass. As for the water that replenishes the river, the rain that enters the reservoir of the river is very sparse in that torrid region and is quickly swallowed up by the thirsty soil. Hence, it is incapable of maintaining the equilibrium of the river. A tradition has thus grown up that the blessed Nile springs, in miraculous fashion, from an unseen paradise. This tradition has profound meaning and expresses a beautiful truth. The traveler saw then 1,000th part of the truths and affirmations contained in the oceans and rivers. The seas proclaim unanimously with the power proportionate to their extent, there is no God but He, and produce as witnesses to their testimony all the creatures that inhabit them. This our traveler perceived. Expressing and conveying the testimony of the seas and the rivers, we said in the 4th degree of the first station, there is no God but God, the necessary existent, to the necessity of whose existence in unity point all the seas and the rivers, together with all they contain, by the testimony of the sublimity of the comprehensiveness of the truth of subjugation, preservation, storing up, and administration, vast and well ordered, and to be observed.
So I will need your input more than ever today because 2 kids are also over my head. Okay. Let's see how long this will keep him. Half a minute. Okay. So this time it's a journey through the rivers.
And obviously also doesn't know about
Preservation of water,
matter.
matter, yeah. So what do you think about what's presented here? So the rivers and big seas. What he said in here sounds like very like natural things as part of how we would define a river. But apparently the author is seeing some sort of a glorification of the creator in those mundane and natural phenomena. What do you think? Yes.
I just have a question. So there's this line that says, "The sea is constantly and vitally surging, merging, and pouring forth with an inclination to conquest inherent in their very nature, surrounded the earth, and together with the earth revolved extremely swiftly in a circle of 25,000 years in a single year." Like, if you can elaborate on that a little bit, and what the reference, like where the reference "four rivers flow forth from paradise" is coming from, and what the, like, why did the author mention that?
Say it again. Which part?
So the first, there's this, where does it go? This line that says, "And together with the earth revolved extremely swiftly in a circle of 25,000 years in a single year." I'm not sure I understand what the author means by that. And then also in the next page, they are preserved and dispensed indeed in so extraordinary a fashion that it is said 4 rivers flow forth from paradise. Like, what's that reference?
So, I mean, in there he is talking about in the previous stage, he talked about the globe having this rotation around the sun, but now he says the water is also rotating around the sun, like this 25,000 years distance, I believe, or whatever he said in there. It refers to the long distance that the seas and water and everything in the globe rotating around the sun. So they are making a long distance, yet they are not getting just poured down or spoiled or anything of this sort. Like if I were to take, I guess, 1 cup of water from here and walk to Drexel that way with carrying 1 cup of water at my hand, so it's going to spill, like that sort of a thing. He says a long journey is being taken with this water, and water stays as water. So before getting into there, let me just start from the very first paragraph, because in there, he's right after the first part says, "Then that reflector traveler read each page of the cosmos, and as he did so, his faith, the key to felicity, strengthened." So that's one important thing that first captures my attention. Like, how does Iman get stronger? And Iman is getting stronger by reading these verses, reading these signs in the creation, is what he is saying, which is interesting. And he said Iman is a key to felicity, to happiness. So in a sense, he is saying that if you would like to be happy, read these signs in the existence. First of all, is this relatable? Well, this guy is not distracting you, does he? Okay. So if you would like to be happy, what would you do? Where's my Khadij? So if you would like to be happy in this world, what do? Go to gym, earn more money? Like, what are the common things that we have nowadays? In order to get happy, what do you do? Or wear a certain brand of clothes, drive a certain type of car. These are, to us, path to happiness. Or whenever we think about happiness, generally speaking, it's like at least for the single one here, it's more like, oh, get married. This is where happiness lies. Or if you're married, or get kids. Yeah, married was not happiness inducing. What is missing is children. So let's have children. Then you get children. Well, then you say, well, it's house. So we need to get the house. And then the house, you say, well, the neighborhood is not good. If we were to buy it in main line, it's going to be like, these are how we are seeking happiness in this life. And the author is defining or drawing a different picture. He's saying that this traveler, as he read those signs in the existence, which was initially in the skies, in the heavens, and then he looked at the atmospheric events. He then looked at the globe of Earth, and then his iman, his security, which is the source of happiness, he says, increased. Like, does this sound relatable? Like, is this a source of happiness that we are seeking satisfaction from? I am feeling down today. Let me go out and look at the creation and read the signs of my creator so that I'm going to become happy. Is this something we consider? Or we just say, well, nowadays there are Olympics, so let me watch a few, I don't know, short videos from Olympics. Maybe it's going to cheer me up. Yep.
What this makes me think about is like the relief you may feel and therefore the happiness when you know that you are not burdened with, let's say, attaining happiness, right? Like you're not in charge, and when you leave it up to Allah, you feel, I guess, more free. And with all that comes in Islam and knowing your creator, you can become happy with what you have and everything that comes with it.
I guess to answer your question, I was just thinking actually, even if I was to consider nature, but then you added like extra layer of like, am I seeking signs of the creation in nature? Because I think even if you're upset or whatever the emotion is, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go admire nature, but it's from the idea that like, oh, if you're in a green space, we'll cool you down. I'm back to like signs again. It's not necessarily because I'm thinking like, oh, I think this thing has, I'm not going beyond. So the extra layer of what you mentioned didn't apply. So even when we're admiring nature, we're like, oh, it's so pretty. The sunset is so nice today. It does get used, and obviously there's a beauty that's recognized, but I don't know if the credit is given necessarily, at least on my end.
So in this, maybe I should then ask the question, how is it that iman is the source of felicity or the happiness, satisfaction? Because reading those signs are increasing iman of that person. And then he says iman, which is the source of happiness. How is that relationship work? Doreen was about to raise her hand there.
I was just thinking that maybe like the reading part is important because you can go out and look at like natural scenes because, you know, maybe like as Doratu was saying, like science says that, you know, looking at green things is associated with like keeping calm. But if I'm instead trying to look at it as we've been like looking at it as like these are things that are well ordered like phenomena that are happening in the universe, like the plants are being taken care of and growing with an order, and like the clouds and rain and everything is moving with that merciful order, then I see that everything around me is in fact there as like a mercy that helps me in a way. So I guess maybe reading like these different aspects of creation as like maybe as like as I was saying, like as a mercy from the creator helps to attain that happiness and build that iman. So I guess one example I was thinking of was that, you know, it's been raining a lot these past few days, like alhamdulillah, but when I go into lab, you know, everyone's like, oh, it's such a gloomy day, complaining about like getting wet and such, and like things along those lines. But rather, instead of taking it like that, kind of trying to see it as this rain is coming down and sustaining is well, I shouldn't say it's sustaining, but like the process of like the rain coming down is a mercy to like all the living beings like on earth. So maybe seeing it in that sense shows that I too am being taken care of with this like rain that's coming down, because I also benefit from the like plants and animals that are on like the earth. So I guess like seeing it in a sense where the creation is being taken care of and like I'm also being taken care of, and that should make me happy.
So no, that's not the question. No, I was just I thought like we should take this text more metaphorically. So when the author says like he's he's like reading the pages of the cosmos, or he's traveling, he's going through, I don't know, the woods or the desert or whatever. I mean, I wouldn't like read it like literally, but I would think that he is describing someone going through life. So even like when he talked about like when he talks about like birth or whatever, I mean it could also be the example of like having kids and like reading that as like giving birth, or reading the marriage thing. So I don't know, I just thought like is this how we're supposed to see it, or he's really looking at like like the rain and the rivers and the water and the mountains, or it's just like he's reading life the way like how it's happening around him.
So I think he is teaching us how to read. Let's say if childbirth, for example, is a part of that, so is rain, so is rivers. So he is really walking us through those bits and pieces of life, and making us, or teaching us how to read them. She's going to become a computer
Destroyer, not
destroyer.
engineer.
Yeah. So I mean, these are part of it. And if I read it as such, really reading rain, then it really becomes, rain becomes a metaphor for mercy, or rivers becomes a metaphor for the sustainer. But yes, we are right now really literally reading the rain to see what it means. By practicing with such, we are learning how to read the book of universe, which we then can apply to other stuff. As we will see, eventually he will come to humans, he will come to prophets. Like this journey will go even to humans, but we are starting from the simple, as he initially said. We first start from the simple. Okay, I guess I'll need to sit up. Otherwise he will not let us. Okay, I apologize for sitting up, folks. Otherwise, she's not going to let us. Okay, I sit here, and it is there.
And I will keep it.
Okay, that's good. So, Iman being a source of happiness. I mean, we mentioned this a lot before, but since we also have new faces, so Iman is different than simply believing, as we use in English. Because if you believe in someone, how come that believing in someone is going to give you happiness? But Iman is rather a term which involves security, like being sure and secure. And so last week we were talking about rain, for example. And when we talked about rain, the author read rain as mercy. So if you are feeling like everything is attacking you and you're so vulnerable, at this moment, once rain starts falling down and it tells you that there is a merciful one who is coming to the help of not only you, but also all the animals and plants and everything. Somebody who is watching over, who is taking care of. So this gives you such a security that, and we have people in the room which are applying for job, let's say, and job market is in a drought season, like there's not much rain in there nowadays. So you feel like, oh, when is the rain going to come? You have this feeling of when is it going to come? But then you turn your face to the outside and you see rain pouring, saying that, well, the one who sustains is providing with rain. So somebody is watching over me and I am at safe hands. Whenever it's proper, I'm going to be sent with this. So what I observe in there is going to help me. One day I was talking to a friend whose name is also Yusuf, and he was upset this day. And so he said, you tell me, I mean, what is good? So I said, just get out of the house and then read the existence, universe. They're going to tell you some good news. So what good news? Okay, you tell me what. He said, okay, birds are chirping out. What shall I get from them? I said, those birds are telling you that, Yusuf, look, what are you worried about so much? Look at us. We are not worried about finding a job. We are not worried about just stacking food for the next season or anything. In the morning, they just wake up, they fly, they find their food, they are super happy. They come back, they eat. No worries, no nothing. And they are being perfectly fed, much better than you and me. And they're flying, not even walking. Like they are given wings. So they are reminding me, if I carefully listen to their singing, saying that we are super happy. We are very content. So just let's learn something from these birds. The birds are happy with their creator because of the sustenance that they receive. I should ask the question, why am I trying to plan and worry about the future so much? Whatever is put before me by my creator. I mean, of course, bird still leaves the nest and tries to find the food, but bird always finds the food and they're happy and thankful for whatever they found. So get out of your nest. Yes, try to find your food, but what if? All these what ifs are the things that are making life hard for us. And every single one of those what ifs are really tools as if I have control over them, or potentially I can have control over them. Birds, apparently smarter than us, says that, well, it's not within my territory, within my responsibility, so why bother? They enjoy and they sing their songs. So we can get such lessons, because in the previous part that we read last week, author was talking about how the fig tree drinks mud itself, but feeds its children, which are the fruits, with milk. And saying that how much of a mercy is being manifest in there, do you see? So it is how we understand from that. I mean, of course, a biologist or, I don't know, a plant expert could say that, well, it's not milk technically, it's this and that. But no, we are reading it because it's made in a purposeful manner. So what I am reading out of that. So Iman being a source of felicity, and he says it gets strengthened by reading the verse, the signs in the existence. This is also important. How would you strengthen your Iman? Like if I ask to my Qadir, how do you strengthen your muscles? Like not only Qadir, many people in the room knows how to do it, right? You pay how many dollars per month? 20? Like you don't pay, but how much do you pay? 35 per month. But then you go there regularly and you know how to get stronger in your muscles. How do you get stronger in your conviction, in your Iman? Author says, go out and read the signs. Read the signs in the name of your Lord, the one who made you, and how he makes the things out there. In this sense, really, that's an important part. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. Read it in the name of your Lord. Do not read in the name of Lord of the universe, Lord of them. No. The one who maintains you is maintaining them. See that relationship and read it as such. Don't forget that you are being maintained, or you are in need of being maintenance. I am needy. This is why I am bothered by it. And now there's this needy bird and it is being satisfied. So I'm reading it, the bird, in the name of my Lord, the one who maintains me. That relationship, I'm not detached from this universe, this existence, actually, because our maker is the same. You have this friendship with your sibling because you are coming from the same parents. We are brothers and sisters in this sense with the whole existence. We are coming from the same source. My maker makes the bird. My maker makes the sea. My maker makes the black holes up in this space. Read them in the name of your Lord. Okay. Anything that's rather big. Okay. Is the microphone somewhere over there?
What you just said, reading in the name of Lord, your Lord, maybe we should highlight it a little bit more, because like when we say read the universe, for instance, the example with the birds, to some others, the ideologies may, they suggest the same approach, seemingly same approach, but there's always a huge difference there. For instance, you can look at the birds and say that, I mean, look how they live their life, how they make some choices, what they care, and try to teach, learn something from the birds and say that, oh, maybe I shouldn't care about life that much, right? So the minimal food is enough for me, and I will be satisfied with whatever I find on that day. So that's the lesson I got from it. When I read it in the name of birds, and it usually doesn't help much. It's what happens, it's it only saves the day, but the question is how it, to save me, and as you said, my future, my kids, the answer is not there. So I was listening a radio program where they're talking about the bird, her species. The mom waits with the whatever it's called, the babies, for a long time, and the father supposed to go and hunt, but with this specific the individual, the father is not much useful, and it doesn't bring some food. The birds, the children was about to die, and then what happens? Although the species, the code that she has inside tells her to stay in the nest, she goes against that, and then go and hunts herself for the birds and bring some food. So when we read this, the way they were reading it, it's the heroic nature of this mom.
This individual mom.
Exactly. Individual mom, how she saved the life of birds by going against her codes, whatever it means. Like she probably has, I don't know, a handful of neuronal connections. And with these much connections, she can go against her genetic, the disposition and everything. Anyway, what it tells me, this story, nothing. It's like another, let's say, the action movie for me. I watch it, it gives me some pleasure, and then gone. But when I read the same thing as, and look, it's such a miserable situation, but there is always one who will help, even send the food in a way which is most unexpected. Right? Because from this species, you don't expect such thing to mom to do that. But it happens. It means no matter how miserable your life, you think, how dark your moment is, there is always a help. There can be always a help. There is no hopelessness in life. I can read it if I read it in the name of the Lord, that He helps. If you don't mind another example, just that happened recently. When we moved to a new house, in the previous house, I planted a few the trees in the small garden. And I liked them a lot because they were colorful and so on. I'm thinking I should move them to the new place because nobody would take care of them. in the old place, right? I know the landlord, he doesn't like the plants and so on. I'm so worried that nobody will take care of them and they will die out because of lack of water and so on. At the same time, the same the time period, for some reason, I'm also worried about them, the children. What would happen if I go? Anyway, I'm looking at the plans. Should I move them or not? And the next 2 days goes just rain, right? And because I'm worried too much about the water, that nobody would give them water, and water comes. So if I read it in the name of the plants, I just say, oh, they are so lucky. Or the water, oh, thank you, water, whatever. But when I read it in the name of the creator slapping me, right, saying that, what are you talking about? It's me taking care of them always, and it will be me taking care of them if I want to. When I read it, it resolves my worry about my children as well. Who will take care of them? The one who sends the rain as mercy to the plants who doesn't have anyone, the orphans. You remember we were talking in the Tuesday discussions, who is orphan? So I was seeing these plants as orphans, and then fathers comes and their father comes and says they're not orphans.
I'm thinking of like what we're talking about sounds very nice, but at the same time, like very recently I was watching some penguin videos, and they were, I mean, and they're so cute, and it's like everything's looking so happy and like whatever. And then all of a sudden there are like freezing temperatures in Antarctica, and these baby chicks are freezing to death. And sometimes there are these orphan chicks and some moms who lost their kids, and they run after this chick because they want to parent it so bad that they trample the chick most of the time. And like we're thinking about like how content these birds are and all that, but at the same time they go through stuff too, like they go through pain as well. We've like seen videos of like, I don't know, like what are those animals that can't like that mate for life, and when their mate dies, like they're so sad, they're like sitting by the lake alone. Like I don't know, I guess it just like makes me think, what do we mean when we say felicity? Because with Iman, like sure, like I'm at peace because I know that with every passing day I'm getting to the start of my real life, and that I guess gives me some sort of peace. But I mean, I guess I really only have felicity when there are no problems going on in my life. When I'm sitting in my air-conditioned room and like it's raining and the plants are looking nice, and I'm like, oh, like wow, God is so amazing, life is so amazing. But then when problem strikes, that like my felicity goes away.
Yeah, it's something. So, for instance, with my example with the kids, the solution was not that, oh, Birkan, you will not die. Don't worry, everything will be perfect. No, I will still die. I will still rot. The problem is still there, but the felicity is also there too. Because before I'm dying, going away was the end of this girl, but the answer is no, it's not the end of this girl. No. So the solution was not, oh, there is no cold or there is no hunger and so on and so forth. Yeah, you will be hungry, but it's not the problem.
So the issue in there, what bothers me is being taken away. And I mean, boringly, I give a lot of examples from my students, and some of them are here. But like student comes to office, and from the breathing frequency of the student, I right away said that, slow down, like it looks like you hate the class. But why? It turns out that he's from a different department and he has to take the class, so he's there. He doesn't like the class. And he's asking me a question about the assignments, but his purpose is not to learn. He's just trying to pass the class. Just get the stupid A, B, whatever letter in there and get away with it. So I said, slow down. This is not how it's going to work. You're just making it even worse for yourself. So try to learn, because this is useful. Honestly, this is useful. So I'm trying to first convince the student that this is something useful for the student. And then still, the assignments are the same hardship. It's not getting any easier, technically speaking. It is the same assignment. I didn't change the assignment for the kid. But once the kid realizes that, yes, actually, this is a useful class for my future, then the assignments are not as hard. Maybe they are, if previously, if they were 1,000 hard, now they became 50 hard for the same student, because the actual hardship was coming from the fact that he said it's useless, pointless, and he just has to get away with it. So Iman is, without Iman, when I look at it, the life looks like meaningless, torture. I don't know where it is going. It's super dark and everything is attacking me. But once I realized that, no, actually it was just a training ground. Not even a training ground. It's more so like we are here to observe the creation. We are here to read. Like things are being put before me. I am not creating things. I'm not building things, to be honest. Things are being put before me. Life is putting before me with different choices. And I am just supposed to interpret it, read it properly. That's my duty. Once I realize it as such and see the wisdom behind it, the hardship goes from a millionth to 55. Still there's 55, which is disputable. For some other, maybe it's not even 55, but 1, depending on how much that person's Iman is stronger, because Iman is really, as a byproduct, if you like, Iman leads to this tawakkul. We all know what tawakkul means, technically speaking, but do we know how it feels, how it tastes? It's a different thing. Like you might be knowing what, I don't know, avocado tastes like, or what was your favorite Pakistani fruit? Like mango. But if you say, oh, mango, Pakistani mango is different. I haven't tasted it. They say it's so nice. No matter how much they explain it to me, I don't know. So to the extent that my Iman leads me to tawakkul, this reliance on the Creator, even that 55 hardship is going to diminish, is what I am seeing here. So there were a few sentences. Since the intro paragraph was so captivating, I would like to just hammer it a little more. So he said, Iman has increased. Then he uses the word gnosis. I don't know if this means anything to you. Gnosis, gnosis, marifet. So marifet is a very heavy word, but gnosis, I don't know if it means anything to people in the room. No? No? Doesn't mean anything, right? Okay. We have no gnosis. So what is marifa? So do you guys know marifa? So we have at least 3 Egyptians in the room. Knowledge. Oh, there's a Lebanese. That's right. Okay. A 4th person. So marifa. Like if maybe Pakistanis nor like Iranians call irfan. So when I talk to my Iranian friends, they hate, I mean, the types that I talk to, they hate Sharia. But when I talk about the purpose of existence and whatnot, they say, oh, it's different. It's irfan. So irfan is more like the word for the version, I guess they call tasawwuf, like irfan in Iran is my perception. But the word is ma'rifah in there again, getting to know the Creator. So ma'rifah is knowledge, but knowledge of what? Ma'rifatullah is knowledge of the Creator, getting to know your Maker. Like, how many years have you been married, Brother Birkan? 7 years?
18, 6.
6 years? So for 6 years, you get to know your wife, and then as you get older, you change, she changes, and then you say, well, I mean, I haven't known this aspect of you. You're just coming up with a new surprise. So getting to know a second person is something that we can relate to. And if you would like to know your friend better, what do? Just either do a trade with your friend or travel with your friend. There was a third, I forgot what it was. Stay with them, share the house. So this is how you get to know a person. How do you get to know your creator more? Getting to know your maker. Ma'rifatullah. So in here, he's saying that this journey makes you get familiar with your maker. What can I expect from such a person, right? Like, I mean, especially in the first years of marriage, first months, years of marriage, especially. I mean, okay, each side likes each other to a certain extent, and they signed the contract, they entered into marriage. But is this person trustworthy? Is this person reliable? Like, these are very important questions for the couple. Like, if the family, like boys or girls family, causes some trouble, which one, since this is a bigger issue for the boy, let's say the boy's family is making a big mess about, let's say, the girl. Is the boy going to choose the mom or the wife? Can the girl really trust the boy in this case, right? So this is really a very practical example of the need for getting to know the person, the other person. Right? Now, in this existence, here I am. Who do I rely on? My maker. How much do I trust my maker? How much do I know him so that I can trust him? Am I blindly going to do that? Or blindly doing it will leave this, insecurity. You would feel, maybe, you never know. Like the feeling of insecurity will kick in if I do not know my maker enough. So getting to know your creator, Ma'rifatullah, is again a key. Or so he says it is a key, like Ma'rifatullah is a key for spiritual advancement. This is how he puts it in the text. So the spiritual and improvement, getting to know your maker, is the key for that. How do you do that? Read the signs in the existence. But this is why it is important. Please go ahead.
We usually use such terms like Ma'rifatullah, Muhabbatullah, and so on and so forth as either coming from a very different word, like the tasawwuf, as you said. It's so mysterious, you don't know such things. They are just for saints.
We have Sufis in the room too.
Okay, yeah. And so,
No saints in the room. No.
So we would either take it that way, very mysterious way, right? Or maybe just as a memorization of stuff. Ma'rifatullah meaning, you know about some qualities, names of your creator, memorize them. There are some books. But here author says, no, the real, the knowing your irfan, your creator, is through studying his works. That's how you know him. It's not out of reach, and it's not just memorization of things. You just study the artwork and you know the artist. Go and study the creation. And when we say creation, it doesn't need to be, the beautiful scenery and so on. Whatever in your life, whatever easy is, as you said, like start from the easy one. Whatever you have in your life, penguins, if you are living there. If not, don't worry about the penguins, because the director will trick you with his understanding, with his worldview, right? There's no such thing as neutral documentary. If they want you to believe in miserable life, they will show you the miserable life. If they want you to believe in the glorious life, they will show you the glorious life, right? I've been keep playing with this girl the whole, the day, but if you just cut the scene here and show how I care about talking but not playing with her, then I will become a miserable father, right? So it's all about the directions and what you have access in your life. So do you have access to these imaginary animals? No, I don't. So do you have access to the ants that invade your house? I do. Study them, right? If it is an invasion, study it as an invasion, but try to see what it is really. And then you will realize that, oh, they were just they've been taken care of, just like I am. And I was being used to take care of them. So now it becomes a source of happiness. To study the artwork, the creation, so that you will know your creator. It's not just a fancy word anymore.
So, inshallah, this should be some invitation for ourselves that such a thing exists. And we need that. And here is a way to achieve it. And this is quite attainable. It is by just reading the signs, attempting to read the signs in the existence in the name of our Lord. In the name of my Lord, my maker. Lord means maker, sustainer. And then he started talking about at this moment, the author, so this traveler in that journey was saying he cried out for more. And in there he uses a reference to a verse, Hal min mazid, isn't there anymore? So, and for that, Zarar made a comment. He says, and mentioned when Abraham said, my Lord, show me how you give life to the dead. Allah said, have you not believed? He said, yes, but only that my heart may be satisfied. So this verse points to a similar concept, I believe he says. So you attain a certain understanding, but you're yearning for more because you're yearning for satisfaction. And as author in here is, in the original text, he uses the Arabic expression as well, hal min mazid, is there not any more? So this asking for more, because if you like something, if you like, let's say, I don't know, you went there, you like somebody making pickles for you. Next time you come, you say, well, do you have more of those pickles? They were nice. We ate them last week. Do we have more? So now you go through the existence and you find something that gives you the satisfaction, this happiness, this felicity. So you ask for more. And then he started with the seas, and this is where we were. The intro took a little longer. With the remaining half hour, let's go with the seas. So the first part, he said, they're going through a large journey. The sea itself is making a large journey along with the earth, and it's not getting spilled. What do you think about that? Anything extraordinary here? Why should it get spilled? Or what? I mean, anything unusual? What is he doing here, the author? So let me read it slowly. The seas constantly and vitally surging, merging, and pouring forth with an inclination to conquest inherent in their very nature, surrounded the earth, and together with the earth revolved extremely swiftly in a circle of 25,000 years in a single year. Yet the seas did not disperse, did not overflow, or encroach on the land contiguous to them. They moved and stood still and were protected by the command and power of a most powerful and magnificent being. What he says sounds very normal to you, or what is happening?
I'm just thinking about the movement of the waves, how they're like trying to like come into the land, but then they retract, and the fact that there's like so much more water than land, 75% is water, and it seems like it's in every coast coming in and then going out. Like that's where I think of, that's where my mind goes when I think of their desire for conquest.
So the way I'm seeing it is like I would have never thought this. I would have never thought that, oh, why doesn't the water spill from the earth? And like it's just natural, like it remains in the ocean. And I feel like I understand why you call this the ascension of the author, because like the way he's looking at something that we, let's say, take for granted or that we think is natural, and we don't give it a second thought. The author is looking into it and finding such a profound order in it. Because otherwise, no, I would not think of water spilling from the sea or spilling from the earth, even though it's traveling so far. But reading this, it provides a different perspective that, oh, you should think about it like that, and you should read it in the name of your Lord.
So I understand like what the previous line says, but like I have a problem like with these lines. Yet the seas did not disperse, did not overflow or encroach on the land contiguous to them. They moved and stood still and were protected by the command and powerful of the most powerful and magnificent being. Like I do not like how would you explain like the floods and those things that like do happen? Like how would you explain those like did not overflow? Like floods literally means like the river overflowing. And there's like this saying is like water creates its own way. Like there is no stopping like once the water comes in. So how would you explain this? Like it even says they moved and stood still. Like how like can you make sense? I cannot make sense of this.
I mean, actually, this is the point that the author is making. He says, normally you would expect whatever comes to the way of the water, it's going to just take it away. But just look at those huge, humongous masses of water, and they are contained in the seas. So shouldn't we ask the question, what made them stop there and not get to here? Generally, we tend to take it as, well, it just happens to be. We take it for granted. And we can even take the same for the curves in our hands and whatnot. I mean, of course, the hand has to be like this. But when it comes to a microphone, since I see different versions of microphones, I say, oh, they made this clip over here. And then I start trying to search for the choices, design choices here. Author is inviting us to make design choices for the seas. So normally, yes, I would expect if I pour water, it would just go. It wouldn't stop. But the water is being contained within those seas. And in a very weird shape, it's being turned around the earth and whatnot, like turned around the sun, and it's not getting spilled. Because water is hard to contain, as I mentioned. If you were to carry it from somewhere to somewhere, it is the most like wobbly thing that you will try to. But the creator is really turning it around the sun, and still water stays there. So this should make me question, something weird is going on in here. Somebody is making a conscious choice in real time. It's being maintained. So every being that's happening, I should ask the question, how come this is happening like that? This is a how question. Pay attention. This is not a why question. This is a how question. How come this is happening? And the explanation to this is not, oh yeah, the earth has, I don't know, a gravitational power. Because you will then ask the question, what is gravitational power? And then you say, oh yeah, it is the rotation of the earth. Then what is rotation? It just keeps going for an infinite loop. That's not the point. How come this is happening? Explain it to me here and now, number one. Number two, once you start going with this infinite loop of this makes this, this makes this, no, just explain me how come, let's say, rotation of the earth around itself is containing the water within these limits. Because this is our perception, right? There's gravitational power. This is how waters are being contained in there. How come gravitational power is existing in the first place? What is it really? Because it's our imagination, like we do observe a manifestation of power. But when we say gravitational power does this, what are we doing? Just pay attention. we are imagining a consciousness in this power itself. If I were to change the word and say that, no, an all-knowing one who is also all-powerful is acting in here, then this is a meaningful statement, because this act of power is with consciousness. But in our day-to-day language, what do we say? We say, oh, water is contained in the seas because there's gravity. What did I remove? Power is still there. In this language, power is still there. What did I remove? I remove consciousness and intentional doing. This is what I'm removing from there. But it doesn't make sense. Once I remove it, how am I going to explain this conscious choice of them being contained in there? Because even for this simple computer, you see that there is a choice of it being two pieces. It opens up like this. The screen is in here. Keyboards are in here. There's a design. Whomever made this must be aware of me, you would say, right? Very simple. When it comes to C, the way it is designed, the way it's not getting over the earth, I say, well, this is how it happened to be. I don't take it as a design, a conscious choice. Why the double standard? Why am I abandoning my intellect when it comes to observing the universe because of my dogma saying that, no, there cannot be a conscious maker in there. But when it comes to a laptop, let's say, I say, wow, good design, Apple. Yes, Zareen had a comment there. Let's go with Zareen first.
Actually, this made me think of how sort of like the water in our bodies like works the same way, in that we also have like majority like water within us, yet it's contained and flows in a way that sustains us. So like I think I thought of this when Natalia was saying like 70% of like the earth is water, and it's similar for us humans. So I just think that it's cool that there are mirrors like within us to like the existence around us as well, which would also point to like one creator who's designing things in a similar way. And so like the water that flows within us doesn't encroach on any of like the organs. There's a perfect like pressure that keeps things flowing, like delivers nutrients and oxygen. So I was kind of thinking of it in that sense, like, and when things happen, such as like a flood, or I was thinking of a tsunami actually, when you do see like a massive amount of water, like that does encroach on the land. And similarly, if like the human body gets sick suddenly, or like I get like a cut or something and that water is not flowing the way it's supposed to, I think that sort of serves as a reminder that, you know, things were being maintained in a way where like this was perfectly balanced and ordered. And even like the way this cut or the way this tsunami is moving is also created with an order that serves like as a beautiful reminder, I would say, to think about things in this nature. And also one other thing that I thought about was sort of like this idea that there's like a barrier between like the land and sea and like other things. I was actually thinking of the story of Ya'juj and Ma'juj in Surat Al-Kahf. So when Dhul Qarnayn built that wall, he was saying that this is a mercy from your Lord. So I guess thinking of these like barriers between different things as like merciful like creations, I was kind of reminded of that.
And as we are going to pass the microphone to Dua, so like for example, Maryam is not here today, and I'm realizing how much I took her for granted, that feeding the kids and setting up the house and food and this and that. So this is how moms do it, right? So they just don't do it for one day, and then you realize how important it was. So the Creator makes us question what we took for granted by giving tsunami or flood or whatever, saying that it didn't have to be like this. It was a conscious choice that it has been maintained so far. I could have chosen to do it this way, then you would have experienced it this way. So be thankful for it being the way it has been. So it's not like, and this is how it's generally being understood, right? So Ibrahim alayhi salam was thrown into fire. If God didn't interfere, fire will burn him anyways. And then God shows up and says to fire, oh, don't do it. No, when fire burns someone, God commands it to burn. When fire does not burn someone, God commands them not to burn. So both of them are choices, conscious choices being made. So I should be aware of that and not take things for granted.
I was gonna make a similar comment. I remember like going to the beach and like watching the water like splash really violently against these like huge rocks. And that was essentially all that was between me and the water, you know, like these big rocks that were sort of like standing as guards there. And it makes me think of that scene from Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, where there's like a shield between the Death Eaters and you know, the wizards, and the Death Eaters are attacking. And it's such a scary scene because, you know, you're like, oh, when is the shield going to drop? And in my life, the shield hasn't dropped in 20 years. So I think, well, you know, it's never going to drop. And that's when like tsunamis come in to remind you that it can drop, but it hasn't. And that's a blessing. And I was also thinking about how we also learn how to protect ourselves from it. You know, we see God's wisdom in there as well. We're like, okay, you know, like, how do I protect my house? I remember our house used to flood. So we made it bigger. So we were like, okay, you know, now the water is not going to get in. Or you know, make it with materials. You see like, okay, you know, God has used this material over here, this particular rock. So we use it to make our houses. So it also helps us advance.
Okay. So let's then go with the next paragraph where the author is now talking about the food, the things inside the sea. Looking to the depths of the sea, the traveler saw that apart from the most beautiful, well-adorned and symmetrical jewels, which is interesting, by the way, like why there are so beautiful jewels in the sea with those different colors and shapes and whatnot. Like if you put beautiful artwork somewhere, what would you expect? Somebody that can appreciate them to be observing. Otherwise, why would you adorn them? This is something that I should be asking for. Like if you open up an ancient grave and you find that, oh, the grave is like in a certain way. Maybe the dead was buried in a certain way, or it's very like specifically adorned in a special way. What would be the question you ask? Why did they do it like this? What was their expectation? Like this is the thing with the the Egyptian mummies, right? Mummification. So what do they say? Well, oh yeah, they thought they're going to be resurrected. This is why they were like there is some message behind this, right? When it comes to the under the sea, there are very beautiful fish, very beautiful plants, like colorful, beautiful. Why? Like what's the point of adorning such things in there? Who observes them? I should ask the question. Like as if you make a lot of investments, make a huge museum like Museum of Philadelphia, Museum of like Art in Philadelphia, but it is, I don't know, however many meters under the sea. You put all beautiful, colorful artwork in there and no visitor. Like what's the point? Yes. Where's the microphone? Yeah.
I guess I was thinking the animal themselves among themselves, like, because obviously it's not like humans, because there's some areas we haven't even still explored, and it's not like, I mean, for some it's an exciting journey, but particularly for me, it's not an exciting journey to just jump into the ocean to explore what's going on down there. So I wonder, because like in the earlier paragraph, it felt very human centric of like, oh, you can go do this, but then again, we're not in this cosmos alone. Like we're not the only one looking for the signs and seeking the signs. So I think maybe there are beings that are also in the same space and looking for their owner. So I think so. So I guess it's not like necessarily about humans, maybe.
I guess we can extrapolate it, right? So, like, if you see that you come to this house and there is, let's say, a certain type of food, let's say biryani is there, and yeah, I was inviting mainly Pakistanis and Bengalis, and the rest of the people are okay with eating. And then you also see that there's Chinese food, but people in here says, well, I mean, Chinese food, it's not my taste, but why did you spend so much money to order at least as much food for, what would you ask? Well, who are coming Chinese? Like, okay, I understood why you make too large, container of biryani. That's understandable because we are coming. But how about the Chinese food? So first you observe that there's a choice. Based on your food, you say that, okay, I know what food means, and this other one is also food, but it's inaccessible to me. So you say, well, then Chinese will come somehow. You have some Chinese friends too, right? So when we see those artifacts that are under the sea, but very beautiful, and occasionally they come out of the sea and we appreciate them, but we say that these are being held under the sea for so long, and we barely sometimes see them. We can appreciate them when they come out, but they are so deep in the sea, and there are way more than what we can see in there. Then you would say, oh, there must be some other Chinese or, I don't know, Japanese type of creatures than humans, which are able to appreciate, consciously observe and appreciate the same thing as I am. Actually, this perspective can help you get saved from loneliness, which means we are not lonely in this planet. In this existence, humans are not alone then as conscious beings, because it looks like whomever invited me here as an observer of this artwork has invited some others. I don't know what they look like. Maybe one day I will see them, or maybe I interact with them, but I am unaware of, because maybe I am taking things for granted. But inshallah, we will eventually come to that again, eventually. When he talks about angels in the upcoming parts, we'll get to there. This is why he is passing it a little quick here. But then he points to, how about the food that is being maintained? Like, has anybody tried to have, what's it called, those aquariums, small aquariums in their house? Did anybody try? Zareen did? Were you successful? How many fishes did you kill? So just maintaining the small aquarium and how hard it is. You need to put the food on time. You need to clean it up. You need to like make waves in water so that there's going to be oxygen in there. We take it to be natural phenomena, right? Those waves are happening. So the water is being oxygenated by the waves, not only by waves, but also created some plants underneath the water, which are oxygenating the, like, whomever is taking care of this vast ocean. And we are really very superficial when it comes to oceans. We are not able to go after a certain depth. And even after a certain depth, there's no light going. Still, there is life of different types. In the absence of light, still there is life. Who is maintaining that? Who is taking care of that? Who is taking care of this giant aquarium? And you would expect, as it happens in Zareen's aquarium, I assume, there would expect it to exist a lot of dead fish over the aquarium, right? Because it's going to rot and smell, and what happens? Dead fish goes up. In the ocean, unless humans mess up with it, there is no dead fish. Like, they are super clean, super nice, very beautiful. So whomever is taking care of that, unless we say that, oh, it is the system in there, it's naturally working. Well, apparently it didn't work in Zareen's aquarium. Once I observe this conscious choice, conscious maintenance, I should say, well, to the extent of the vastness of this ocean, and the amount of maintenance that is taking place in there. Like, what would happen if you were to just invite Arsalan is here. So he was going to invite his friends. And then what would he do? Like, I should cook the food well. You put some effort in there. So anybody who invited their friends know this, right? You will need to say what sort of a food I should cook, which spice. Well, I like spice a lot, but the new friends, they are not Pakistani, so maybe I should put spice a little less. So you have those worries. The one who invited so many fishes and whatnot to the feast in the seas, imagine how much effort you put just to invite 4 or 5 people, and then multiply, make the numbers for yourself. However many billions or trillions of fish are invited, not only the fish, but the bacteria, but the plants, and everything in there is being maintained. So what sort of a maker is taking care of that? And take it back to yourself. The same one is maintaining you. This is where this worries and question marks in my head, because I am in this vast ocean of the universe. And I worry what happens if I die. Because because I need this eternal desire. I don't want to be non-existent. So my maker invited me to this universe, but it's pretty much like a dinner time, really. You live a few years in this life and you depart from this table. It's end of time, go back home. What do I do? Is it the end, really? Is it just one dinner time that I exist in here? Or I am given this eternal desire. He is going to keep me in an eternal life. He must be keeping me in an eternal life. Could become a conclusion that I observe. Okay. Any comments, any questions? So then he talked about rivers. I guess this was to wrap it up. And he mentioned how the rivers are coming.
That was a question about the river. I think
Ahmed asked a question about the rivers.
Reference this whole river of
Paradise.
Yeah, paradise.
Yeah. So in the footnote it says it is from a hadith from Muslim. Yeah. So it's Dijla, Furat, Sayhan, Jayhan. So what are those? Like Sayhan, Jayhan.
Must be the Nile.
Nile,
Giving the
yeah.
example, yeah.
Euphrates and Nile. You said Furat and Dijla.
I think
Nile, and which was the fourth?
Kauthar.
Kauthar. Okay. So, like in the narration, such is coming. What is the point? So the author is saying that the Prophet ﷺ says things about rivers, giving different names. But what should I understand from that? Because to our perception, water is what? Rainwater comes down, it gets accumulated, and then comes up here. So the amount of water is being preserved. It's just there's a water cycle. That's how we take it. Author is saying, just look at how water is coming, how much water is falling in that region, and how it is coming out of this thing. So he says, even if you do the math, it wouldn't add up. But what is happening in here? Let's say even if the same amount of water gets in, same amount of water gets out, or whatever. What do I read from this picture? By the making of this rivers. Like Atik is not here. He's from Bangladesh and things are happening in Bangladesh. I don't know if they're related to Atik. But he is working for the water department of City of Philadelphia. And many pipes across the city, if you just, like if there was a switch which makes the houses invisible and only the water pipes in Philadelphia city, the city would like interesting just with the water pipes. It's all across the city. It's not too fancy of a system if you compare to Earth or your body, But still, it's an impressive water piping system that's happening in Philadelphia. But how many, and in many places it breaks and whatever, many things happen with that. But still, there are, I don't know, maybe a few thousand people, a lot of refineries, different ways where the water is being stored, and many pumps and this and that. A huge system is running, and we pay taxes so that the system keeps running. Now, the rivers in this existence is running. Who is maintaining this water being taken from somewhere, being filtered, and then being sent out? It's natural, isn't it? Just water goes down, and then there are those, layers of earth, and if it's, I don't know, rock layer, the water gets in there, it gets, I don't know. This is the language we use for explaining it generally. If you Google water cycle, this is going to be the language. It just happens. But when it comes to the city of Philadelphia's not so clean water system, we say, well, there are so many engineers, so many workers, so many funding is happening in here. Like engineers in this case is exemplifying knowledge and wisdom. The funding, the taxes you pay is signifying the power at play. When it comes to our water cycle, we don't mention any of these. And it's being done much cleaner. We call it natural. So I should be observing and asking the question, no, there's a definite choice being made here today. Because the idea with naturalistic perspective is, well, it happened to be like this for centuries. Does it have to be like this in the next moment? This should be my attitude. What forces it to be like this? What forces the water to stay above rock? What forces water to get through sand? Like, these are things that are happening, but why so? It's a choice. It could have been otherwise, but it is being done as such. I should be asking why, but since it keeps happening 50 times, let's say, in the 51st time, I say, well, this is how it is. This is our understanding of nature comes like this. If I keep it 50 times, that means I don't need to ask how come it happens. I can just take it as, well, this is its nature. This is how it happens to be. But this is what we should be challenging ourselves with. No, it doesn't have to be like this. Sister Aisha, or is the microphone there?
Assalamualaikum. Yeah, I just had a quick comment, not much of a question, but just listening to the Pelicans.
No, that I'm speaking to.
Assalamualaikum. Yeah, I just listening to this discussion so far and looking at the text, what it makes me think is that no, I don't have a question, I have a comment. And my comment is that, I mean, here, as we're, listening to Brother Yusuf talk about how we should see the seas and how we should see the rivers and, all these sort of things, it's that, here the author is modeling what it means to read the world, what it means to read our environment in one sense, right? But also that, okay, when I go down to the shore, when I go hiking and I see a creek and there's some water trickling there, it's not meant for me to just say, oh, there's the shore, there's the river, or even to be like, oh, I love the creek and the water sounds so nice to my ears. That river will tell me something essential about my own life, right? That shore, when I see the waves, it contains something that is immensely valuable in terms of resolving whatever issues I'm going through in my life right now, right? So there's this very essential connection that I face with the entire creation, right? This relatedness that I have with all of them. It's not that I just enjoy them or I just pass by them. No, whatever dua you're going through, right? Whatever Kadir is experiencing, whatever I'm going through, whatever issues we have, whether that's job, visas,
marriages, schools, works, all these other things. Like, you will find your answer when you examine what is in front of you. Whether that's the dead fish in one's aquarium, right? Or your pet cat, or whatever creation is next to you. You don't have to be. This is. I guess it's giving a model of how to read, right? But I might not have the shore. Maybe you have the mountains next to you. Maybe you don't. You live in the city, but you have the bushes with as the brother was saying, like the birds full of them, right? So whatever is approximate to me, there's something, I'm just repeating myself, but I thought it was important. At least it was important for me, just thinking about it. The answers that I am looking for, the guidance that I am seeking in my life, there are essential messages there for me to read, and they relate directly to my life conditions, my life situations. Yeah. And I think that's valuable then, right? That raises the stakes. It's not just, oh, I should look at nature to know my creator. Yes, I mean, you should, but that's going to teach you something about resolving your problems, and we all got them.
And the author in here was mentioning at the beginning, saying that the seas said, come to us, come to us. So universe is inviting us. Like sometimes when you get near the kitchen, the smell of the food is inviting you. Likewise, the sunlight just getting into your eyes, inviting you. Like even waves, why do they make noise, do you think? By adding sound to the waves, the creator is attracting your attention, saying that, look this way. Or the thunder in the rain. It's just attracting your attention, saying that, look my way. I'm going to tell you about your maker. And as you are sad, yes, you're in need of calling a friend to just share things and get to some resolution for yourself. In this way, the whole existence is your friends, your brothers and sisters, as we are now reading, in creation. So through them, with them, you get to know your maker and get to see the purpose. So, and inshallah, with that, let's conclude. And there was a comment from Sister Saira. So she says, to be a symbol of the possibility of a search for divine signs and reflect on their perfection as an ecosystem, a living world under ocean. So another world is under the ocean and is being maintained. So there are many lessons for myself to take from there. Jazakumullah khairan. So it's time for Maghrib. So let's conclude here. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة.